to you a little bit about the ad analysis questions. And just a reminder, your screen may not look exactly like this, but it's the basic concept. We're looking for the ad analysis questions assignment. So let's take a look at this assignment here. It's time to get started on it. So you'll want to choose an ad from the ad bank, and I'll show you that in just a second. Just so you know, this scoring rubric is from me, and I just wanted you to see what I was looking for on this. So I'm looking for thorough, specific, and complete answers. So please, besides just giving a basic answer, give a little bit of explanation and refer to what in the ad you're talking about when you give your answer and your explanation. And I'm looking for a deep level of analysis and critical thinking. So we want a close and careful reading of the advertisement, thinking about all the little subtle details. If you think you've seen everything in the ad, look harder because there's probably a few of those subtle details that you are missing on the first look through. There's also a reminder here, please use complete sentences because complete sentences really help me understand what you're thinking, and that'll help me give you feedback that can help you develop your ideas. Finally, if any of the questions don't seem to relate to your ad, think a little harder, look a little more carefully, but if it's still true, for example, one of the questions asks about the use of logos. If your ad doesn't have much logical argument to it, please do still answer and say, this ad doesn't include logical appeals. It's mainly emotional, and here's what those emotional appeals are. So make sure you thoroughly answer every question so that I can see you're not just skipping over parts of it. Having said that, you can do most of this in a short paragraph each, or even maybe 3, 4, 5 sentences each to answer each of these, depending on the type of question and what you see in your ad. Don't forget up here, if your ad has a slogan, that's the title of the ad. What is the brand and what is the product being advertised? And then you have to figure this out. So you're not going to find the answer directly stated in your ad, but who do you think is the target audience for the ad? You want to think about who's the target audience for the product, who's most likely to buy the product. And then also take a look at the imagery and think who might be being appealed to here and try to get specific. Please don't say everybody. Most ads and most products have sort of a target buyer. Even though other people might buy or be interested in the product or the ad, there's usually a target audience for most products that can get a little more specific. So the first sets of questions are about audience and message, and let's just take a look at a sample ad. So you'll see this ad, this Johnnie Walker ad in the course materials for the week, and I'll be pulling up this ad over the next couple weeks as we look at examples of how we might write the paper, of the details we might try to find. So there's a lot going on in this ad, and that's why I've chosen it, because I know I will have plenty to say and plenty to write about when I go to analyze this ad. So the first question on your ad analysis sheet is asking what the explicit message of the ad is. So that's a message that's literally actually said in the ad. For example, an ad for Windex might say, "This will help you get your windows clean," right? That's the literal promise of the product. That's what the product is actually for. In this case, where flavor is king, the ad is literally explicitly saying this is a very flavorful whiskey. So that's the explicit message of the product or of the ad. So if I'm looking here on the ad analysis sheet, according to the explicit message of the ad, why should that audience be interested in the product? I would say here, the explicit message of the ad is that it's a flavorful whiskey, so the audience would be interested in the product because it tastes good, right? That's the literal sort of benefit of the product. But this question here, then we get to the implicit message of the ad. So besides that literal benefit of the product, what other types of rewards does the ad seem to promise will accompany the product? So remember, visuals imply. So what I'm going to be looking for here is, well, what do I see in the ad? What's associated with the alcohol, with the product? And that's going to help me figure out, well, what does the ad seem to suggest you get if you choose this product? Or What does the ad seem to suggest about the type of person you are or will be if you choose this product? I would say something like, this ad seems to promise that you will get popularity, that you will have sex appeal, that you will have abundance and plenty, right? Because there's all these different things, flavors going on in the ad. So that's going to help me start to think about the implicit message of the ad. And you're going to continue to develop that. This is sort of brainstorming at this point. So it's just like, what can you think of right now that might be going on? Here 2B, is this ad more populist or elitist? So you want to refer to what we learned about populism and elitism in the reading, Masters of Desire. And this example is definitely an elitist ad, right? This isn't an everyday person or everyday situation. The question is also asking about the details in the ad that relate to that. So this is obviously sort of like it looks sort of like a British estate house, like a manor or something. There's these dark walls with the trim all over them, which would be very expensive, right? Trim is really expensive. There's all these big, huge artworks that seem to be, originals. The person's outfit with the top hat thing going on, the people's clothing, the color scheme is very rich and luxurious. And it's all quite fancy, right? These rich colors. And the abundance of food, too, is something we associate with class and the aristocracy. They always seem to have plenty. So those are some details I can talk about here, because it's not just, you don't want to just write populist. What details in the ad relate to your answer? For question number 3, what type of identity does the ad work to associate with the product? What does the ad suggest about what type of person this product is for? So I want to talk here about it being for, like a classy person, or it's supposed to make you feel classy. But I want to be more specific. There's lots of different types of classiness, right, or elitism. And this is definitely that aristocratic classiness. So I can expand upon that in my answer to question number 3. I could also talk about sort of the masculinity, the popularity that the ad seems to mention. It's interesting to me that this person isn't participating in the scene. He seems to be just sort of like overseeing it. It's happening around him. And so to me too, that's sort of an aristocracy type of thing going on. He seems very sort of almost aloof or mysterious. And I think that relates to that old world aristocratic distinction thing. So the rest of the questions are going to help you expand upon these things. What types of rhetorical appeals do you notice? This is mostly mostly pathos, because it's emotional. I mean, there's not a lot of logical appeal being made, and I would expand upon that. Design details is part 2. So part 2 here is about content, composition, color, and copy. Those 4 key things we're going to be looking for in the ad. So in content, maybe I could list here lots of different things I see, and you want to get detailed here. You do not have to list every single thing. Remember, this is brainstorming, but I would probably mention at least, the people in the ad. I would think about the background in the ad. I would think about the objects in the ad. I would think about the main character in the ad. So that's at least for maybe 5 things, because I may also want to talk about the fruits, the bottle, the artwork. This ad has a lot of visual details, so I might have several things here. And it's okay to have sort of a bulleted list, but talk about it a little bit as well. What do you notice about the ad's composition, placement, and sizing? So I think it's interesting that the key figure here is in the center and all these people are around him. We've got the bottle here, which is really huge, and I think it's important that the foods are very huge as well, because I think that's related to that message of aristocratic abundance that I think is related to the class appeals of the ad. Dominant colors. So again, you don't have to list every single color, but I'm noticing a lot of deep reds, sort of like mahogany colors, and these rich, very saturated, bold colors I think we associate with royalty aristocracy, etc. So I could mention those here. The slogan here, and you also want to talk about how the slogan links to the rest of your answers. So the slogan where flavor is king, I mean king, right? And that to me relates to that aristocratic appeal, the class appeal that's going on in the ad. Number 10, I want you to start to brainstorm. What social commentary can you offer based on your analysis of the ad? Is it predatory? Is it manipulative? Do you think it's a step forward? Do you think it's making a positive message? I think this one is really interesting because it's making some interesting class associations for us, and I would try to expand upon that on that question. So it's time to start this assignment. You do not necessarily need to have it finished yet because we're still practicing and we're going to talk more about all of these things. And so if you're not sure how to answer any of them, you can wait until we've had some more time in class, but start to get your beginning thoughts out so that you're really ready to get rolling once we get to the upcoming lessons where we talk about structure and thesis and things like that. You'll want to have a lot of this brainstorming done so that you can form a good, solid thesis. As always, let me know if you have any questions. I'm available via email and office hours.